Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would request everyone to please take your seats. We're going to be starting the session shortly. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again. And I would request everyone to take your seats. This is Serene Sarkar going to be a host for this particular session. And the session is called Building a Green Hydrogen Workforce. We are going to be speaking a lot of insightful information, sharing with each one of the panelists out here, and of course, you all fine people. I would like to take the opportunity to welcome you all fine people, distinguished dignitaries, guests, eminent speakers, and respected moderators to this second international conference, Green Hydrogen India 2024 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. It is such a pleasure to have all you fine people along with us. And the moment we talk about India, it is so much of emotion actually clubs up together. You know, our first day, first education, school, we call India as Ma. There's a lot of emotion involves out here. So definitely we would like to have a brilliant and a brighter future for our next generation. And that is the reason I believe we all are like, you know, as a combined energy, we are gathered here and definitely would like to, you know, have that sustainable and renewable future for our next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, would like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to this session. And the session we'll be discussing on building green hydrogen workforce. It is my privilege to introduce our panelists and the eminent speakers who are there in the panel. Dr. Subham Paul currently serves as a principal scientist at CSIR, Indian Institute of Petroleum, with over 15 years of extensive research experience in the field of energy. His academic foundation was built with BTech in chemical engineering from Haldia Institution of Technology, followed by MTech from Jadavpur University and PhD from the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming Dr. Subham Pal to the dais. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Biswajit Roy, is presently working as the Director General of Gujarat Energy Research and Management Institute, a non-profit institution of the government of Gujarat. He is an independent director of the board of Gujarat Energy Transmission Corporation Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, join me welcoming Dr. Biswajit Roy, the dais, please. My privilege to introduce Mr. S.K. Bose, who is currently serving as CEO of the Hydrocarbon Sector Skill Council, HSSC. It is a society formed under the aegis of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas under Skill India mission. HSSC is providing skill development and skilled manpower of hydrocarbon sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcome Mr. S.K. Bose. My privilege to introduce to you Mr. Chintan Tewari. He is a BTech from IIT Kharagpur and presently Managing Director in Electrolytic Hydrogen Generation. Mr. Tewari set up several hydrogen plants in both India and abroad, including NTPC, Tata Steel, Tata Power, BOC, Midhani, Intech, Energia, Toshiba, Daewoo, and he has started Eastern Electrolyser Limited in the year 1994 in collaboration with Electrolyser Corporation, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming Mr. Chintan Tewari, please. My privilege to introduce to you Mr. Tarun Relhan is the Business Director for TNX, responsible for APAC, including India. He has extensive experience in executing projects as project manager, which include energy transition. Few of them were either the first of a kind or first in the country. And of course, there are many more to say, but I believe he himself represents himself. So can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Tarun Relhan? It is a pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Sajal Chakravarty is the founder director of 1H1 Labs Private Limited, an organization committed to developing components of PM electrolyzers and fuel cells. He has been working on hydrogen-related projects since 2008 in diverse domains of H2 internal combustion engines, fuel cells, biohydrogen, and hydrogen storage tanks. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming Mr. Sajal Chakravarty to the dais. And it is a pleasure to introduce to you our respected moderator, Dr. R.K. Malhotra, the President, Hydrogen Association of India. He received a BTech Mechanical Engineering degree from IIT BHU and PhD Synergy Studies from IIT Delhi. He is a distinguished energy professional with expertise in energy and environment areas, including renewables, biofuels, and hydrogen. He has over 47 years of experience, which included long tenure of 37 years at Indian Oil Corporation, was Director R&D for 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming our respected moderator, Dr. R.K. Malhotra, the President, Hydrogen Association of India. I would request Dr. Malhotra to take over and carry on with the moderation.
Yeah. Anyway, just opening remarks. Can I close it? Or there are some presentations also. Okay. So, very good afternoon. After lunch, ladies and gentlemen, we have an eminent panelists sitting here on the dais, and they have already been introduced to you. This session in this conference is on a very important subject. Yesterday, we had a student session also, and a lot of participation of over 3,000 students was there. So that shows large interest in the subject of green hydrogen on which this conference is being organized. And it is the future of India rests with the younger population who need to be trained, skilled in the field of hydrogen. As you are aware that India has a target of producing 5 million tons of green hydrogen by 2030. That's the target. Of course, the wish has been to even exceed that target and see that how it can happen. There are a lot of schemes by the government. You must have heard in various sessions. I will not deliberate upon that. You will need about 125 gigawatts of renewable energy. So we'll need manpower in creation or generating renewable energy at low cost, because the cost of energy is an input cost for the hydrogen. Then second thing is that electrolyzers, whether you get renewable energy from solar or you get from wind, where you will need skilled manpower to reduce the cost, then electrolyzers, that we have to reduce the cost of electrolyzers. We'll need manpower to operate those electrolyzers, to maintain those electrolyzers, to reduce the capex and opex, which will reduce the cost of green hydrogen. Then you also need clean water. 1 kg of hydrogen needs about 9 liters of water, demineralized water. Of course, there are projects which are going on, which you must have heard in different sessions, which can make use of something somebody has been talking of, offshore wind, and using saline water, seawater, for producing hydrogen. So those kind of innovations will happen in due course of time. But today, when we talk in normal terminology, we need about 9 liters of water for 1 kg of hydrogen, that to demineralized water. So water is also going to be a big subject. How do we do that? So that also adds to the cost of green hydrogen. So we need trained people to do that and supply that kind of water. Then the electrolyzer I've already said. Then another route of producing green hydrogen is biomass gasification or biomass pyrolysis, etc. So how to reduce the cost of such plants, integration of electrolyzers, balance of plant, those kind of things where the skilled manpower is definitely required. Then we also, how to make use of hydrogen, how to transport hydrogen, how to supply hydrogen, infrastructure creation, which will again need a lot of manpower because hydrogen will have to be handled safely. So safety also will be another aspect in which we'll have to train our people. Whosoever is working in any field of hydrogen will have to be trained on the safety aspect so that we don't have any kind of mishaps while working on hydrogen, whether in production or storage or distribution or utilization of hydrogen. On utilization side, the decarbonization, green hydrogen will be a great enabler for decarbonization. So when we are talking of decarbonization of hard-to-abate sectors like steel and cement, will need hydrogen. Technologies which will be implemented in steel plants like DRI, etc., where there will be mandates to reduce CO2 emissions by those plants. Voluntary also people will be doing, everybody is saying we have to go to net zero. So those kind of activities will also push the demand, but again, the manpower will be required. Then we talk of mobility, where hydrogen can be used in IC engines or it can be used in fuel cells. If we use it in IC engines, although we know how to run IC engines with the normal fuels like petrol, diesel, or even natural gas, hydrogen combustion in the engines will have a different techniques which will be required. There are issues with the backfire and then storage also. High pressure storage is required, whether you transport it as a liquid hydrogen or gaseous hydrogen or as metal hydride. So these are the kind of areas in which, of course, we'll need manpower. So this is a important subject for discussion, and how we'll get that manpower, what kind of manpower is required. So I'm sure these panelists will be able to answer those questions during the various questions which I will address them. And at the end of the discussion which the panel will have, we'll invite some of your questions also to further clarify the doubts or any further inputs which you may need. So we are starting the session with a presentation by my esteemed colleague, Mr. Biswajit Roy, who has been my colleague at Indian Oil, and then he was on the board of Oil India. Now he's working on renewable energy. He is going to make an initial presentation, then followed with him will be another former colleague of mine, Mr. S.K. Bose, who is in charge of the Hydrocarbon Sectoral Scale Council. He will also make a brief presentation. And then finally, Mr. Rilan will also be making a presentation. So after these three presentations, one by one, then we'll have some of the questions addressed to all the panelists. So may I request Mr. Biswajit Roy to come over and make your presentation.
How will the presentation be shown on the screen? Okay. So, respected Dr. Malhotra, my co-panelists, and all the other ladies and gentlemen who are present here in this hall, I will be making a very brief presentation of about 6-7 slides to set the tone for the today's discussions, followed by which, if there are questions and answers, we will try our best to answer those queries as also. So what happens is when anything new comes up, technology comes in, money comes in, but what comes with difficulty is the trained manpower. And until and unless we get trained manpower, howsoever amount of money we may put in, whatever technology comes in, the projects don't run successfully. That's a fact. And this I have experienced firsthand when we were doing the CGDs, city gas distribution projects. Lots of city gas distribution projects were awarded by PNGRB. Money was available, big companies were involved, but trained manpower was not available and the projects did not run on time. They were all having time lapses. So something like this can happen in any sector if we don't have skilled, trained manpower. And when we are talking of skilled manpower, there is a distinction. India, fortunately, has a very well-developed higher education systems. Availability of engineers, masters, PhD degree holders is not an issue. Today, hydrogen may not be taught in the curriculum in some of the institutions, but sooner than later, they will find a place in the engineering curricula at the bachelor's level, master's level, or even at doctoral level. The difficulty that we face as a society or as commercial organizations is finding expert welders, finding trained electricians, getting trained people in the lower skills. And in the NSDC parlance, there are unskilled workers, there are semi-skilled workers, then there are skilled workers. After that, we have diploma in between the graduate engineers and then the graduate engineers. So we are actually going to be focusing on the lower end of the spectrum, the skilled workmen, the unskilled and the semi-skilled workmen, which is where large numbers are required. So we all know about green hydrogen ecosystem that we have been discussing in this conference all over the last 3 days. The National Green Hydrogen Mission approved in 2022. The site program for domestic manufacturing of electrolyzers and production of green hydrogen. There are incentives which are being given. And we will be talking about skill development program, which is also part of the mission, for which there is some support available from the government. Skill councils, 3 of them, in fact 4 of them, have done some skill gap analysis. The Skill Council for Green Jobs, Power Sector Skill Council, the Logistics Sector Skill Council, and the Hydrocarbon Sector Skill Council. In terms of where green hydrogen can be used, ammonia consumption for fertilizers is 150 million tons. And if we mandate 1% of green ammonia, it will save 0.4 million tons, standard cubic meter per day of natural gas import, which will in turn save precious foreign exchange for the country. So it's important that we have trained manpower and we have target lines of 2030 for 5 million tons. It's important that we are able to honor them, if not make it ahead of that. 5 MMT per annum is the target by 2030. Renewable energy capacity, Dr. Malhotra said, is 125 gigawatts. So we will require manpower in that sector. Also in the renewable energy space, over 8 lakh crore in total capital investment. That's big money that we are talking about. It will create over 6 lakhs of full-time jobs by 2030. That's a large number, 6 lakhs. And government's focus is on creation of jobs. So we all will have to work together. 60 to 100 gigawatt electrolyzer capacity will be required, and 50 MMT of carbon dioxide emissions are expected to be averted. We are talking big numbers by 2030, which is only about 6 years away from now. And over 1 lakh crore savings through reduced imports. 1 lakh crore savings would mean somewhere around $12 billion. That's the kind of numbers that we are talking about. So by 2030, I will not read through the lines, you can go through, an estimated 3.15 lakh job opportunities in the project side. 2.83 lakhs is expected around in operating the hydrogen plants which will come up. And additionally, over 11,000 jobs are projected to be required in the electrolyzer manufacturing. These are the kind of numbers that will be required. This is the skill gap study for green hydrogen value chain. This has been done by MSDE. These numbers, these projections are based on an MSDE report, and these are year-wise. So 2025 is less than 5,000, but 2030 is per annum, we will be requiring somewhere around more than 75,000. If we add all of them together, then those numbers will come in. The numbers that I have shown. These will be required in different areas like storage, power management, water treatment plant, operation and maintenance, planning, safety. Safety is a big issue because hydrogen flames are invisible. So you may just walk through. You will not even get to see that there is a flame, there's a fire. Equipment testing and certification, all these areas. Year-wise fresh employment requirement for the electrolyzer manufacturing sector. That's total 11,000, and this is the yearly breakup. So starting with 25, we will be requiring maybe less than 500, but by the time it comes to 2030, our yearly requirement, yearly means between 2029 and 2030 is the requirement of around 4,000. So there are various jobs that are included for electrolyzer manufacturing, business development, equipment testing, approvals and compliance, and all of those things which are written here. This again is based on an MSDE report. So some of the jobs, the areas have been identified. On the left-hand side, you will find L3, L4, L5, etc. written. Below L3 is L1 and L2, which are unskilled jobs. L3 is semi-skilled. L4 is and L5 is skilled. L6 is somewhere diploma holder engineers, ITI trained people. L7 is graduate engineers and above. L8 is masters and L9 will be PhD, etc. This is in terms of MSD categorization of job roles. So some initial work in terms of identifying various kinds of jobs have already been done. The requirement in terms of their importance as low, medium, or high has also been identified by the various skill councils. So it's not that we are going to start de novo for everything from today. Some work has already been done. These areas have been identified. And they will be there in the upstream, midstream, as well as in the downstream sector of the hydrogen business. This is the requirement for hydrogen handling expertise, safety, and compliance knowledge. Here again, in terms of L3 to L8, jobs have been identified. And these are for electrolyzer manufacturing. These are the jobs which have also been identified. Standards and compliance knowledge, hydrogen handling expertise, etc., etc. Year-wise upskilling and reskilling requirement, the numbers are mentioned here. This again is based on an MSDE report. And the numbers are quite large. This is for the existing people who have been working in the energy space, but they need to be reskilled or upskilled. So these are additional numbers compared to what we have already shown. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to basically say is that skilling is an important aspect, and that skilling has to precede the actual production. Unless we have skilled manpower, actual production without any safety incidences will not take place. And therefore, we have all assembled here to talk about as to what various roles and who will play those roles, so that we have a trained workforce available ahead of the actual manufacturing activity that starts. And we are able to have 5 million tons production of green hydrogen by 2030. And I am now representing the research institution from government of Gujarat. And out of those 5 million tons, government of Gujarat state has a target of 3 million tons. And there are 5 major organizations, 5 top organizations, commercial entities of the country, which are having a very, very ambitious target. And they are going whole hog in terms of doing whatever it takes to produce 3 million tons. Our job will be to provide them with the required skilled, trained manpower before the actual production starts. With this, I leave the floor to my colleague, Mr. Bose. He has the next presentation to make.
Thank you, Biswajit. Mr. Bose.
Very good afternoon, respected Dr. Malhotra, my co-panelist, and ladies and gentlemen. It's a great opportunity given by MNRI to tell you about what we are doing. I am representing Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and MSD, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. If you see the green hydrogen value chain and its segmentation, our job is to do the skilling. So where we need to skill. So if you divide the upstream, midstream, and downstream, in the upstream we have a green power requirement that is coming from solar, wind, hydel, and some green infrastructure. Then if you see the midstream, the production side is there. We have a lot of technologies which are popular technology as PAM and alkali, and the storage. Storage is very important because you know that up to 350 bar storage have been approved by PESO so far in India, but we have to go up to 700 bar. Then comes the shipment transportation. So a lot of research is going on how to move hydrogen through ammonia or through directly in tankers. Then pipeline also doing a lot of research in pushing hydrogen in pipeline. I think already in CGD network, 2% hydrogen is being punched so that it is being delivered. But all total how we can move in hydrogen in a pipeline, that is also research is on. Then comes the inner truck, how we can move the hydrogen in tanker, truck, road transportation, that is also a possibility. So finally the end user, you know that we have seen the presentation in the inaugural session. The main hydrogen consumption is by oil refineries and your fertilizer. 60% of them are consuming. So other than industry, how because we have a net zero ambition, so how to use more and more green hydrogen. So by 2030, many of the oil companies in India, they have promised that 50% of your consumption of gray hydrogen, they'll convert it to green hydrogen. So even steel sector, they are also moving to green hydrogen. So it's a very promising that big corporates, they are moving to green hydrogen by 2030. And if you add up this oil sector only consuming 1 million ton as of now in India, so at least we can assure that 0.5 will come from oil sector itself. Besides their only captive consumption, but they are also showing intention, not only showing intention, they have started producing green hydrogen and set up some plants in different parts of the country. And I will come to the training part also, how the oil company and other companies are moving towards training and skilling people in to keep the future workforce ready. So now the mobility is also a lot of research is going whether IC engine can use the hydrogen. Railway ministry also given that they will go for green hydrogen in rails, trains. So all these things are talk of the town, and everywhere everybody is talking about the hydrogen. Let me tell you, I am frankly speaking, after attending many conferences here in Bharat Mandapam, this is one of the conferences all the halls are full. I was surprised. In Delhi, it is not a natural practice. So a lot of people are keeping great interest in green hydrogen. That is very interesting phenomena. Thanks to MNRE and the organizer. Then coming to in between, if we talk about the value chain, but in between there are two important things is that safety, because all of us know that hydrogen is not visible, not audible. I mean, order is not there, orderless. Even in case of fire, you cannot see the hydrogen. So safety is a major aspect. So you need to train each and everyone who are connected with hydrogen, both utility side or from downstream, midstream. Everybody need to be trained in hydrogen safety. Then comes quality assurance and quality check, and that need to be done. So these are the segment where we need to train. So then comes, if we from that value chain, if I derive what are the area, let me tell you that the green power sector, the wind and solar is the major. Then comes in production side. Production side, we have to train in plant supervisor, plant operator, maintenance, design, all these things. Then manufacturing side, we have a lot of electrolyzer. I think around 30 to 45,000 job will be created in electrolyzer manufacturing sector by 2030. Then maintenance testing is very important. Storage, as I said, high pressure storage needs a lot of expert skilled manpower. Then comes pipeline operator, which will come later, but it will come definitely. Then fuel delivery drivers, they need to be different from normal drivers. Then utility, because those who are using hydrogen, they need to be trained properly. So after coming that, if I from Hydrocarbon Sector Skill Council, if I prepare the workforce for the future, I have four levels broadly. One is the creating awareness and school and college level and ITI students, so that they know what is green hydrogen. So for that, we have developed some courses. For school, we have developed the concept of green hydrogen. For college, we have developed advanced course on green hydrogen. So already we have started the courses here in Delhi University and Gujarat Technical University, then University of Ladakh. So then my counterpart, Green Hydrogen, Green Job Skill Council, they are also doing a lot of program. So far around 1,000 trainings we have completed in different segments. Second level, we need to upskill and reskill the existing workforce. Those workforce who are engaged in producing gray hydrogen in oil sector particularly, we need to upscale them so that they can handle green hydrogen, because electrolyzer technology is changing, so they need to be trained in that. Third level, we have to go for the short-term training program, fresh interns for green hydrogen, where the opportunity is there. So those who want to make a career in green hydrogen, how to train them, and so that they will be ready for the future. I am sure that a lot of plants are there. Smaller plants are available. My panelists will share. I'm very happy to learn from Mr. Relan that they have conducted a great program for GAIL, which is currently undergoing for their engineers for handling green hydrogen. So these programs have been started. Skilling program have already started, and all our skilling program are recorded in Skill India portal, which is national portal where wherever you get training, it is recorded there, and skill certificate is also generated. Level 4 is which is important. We need to train in the school, college level, diploma level, so that these are the real workforce will join the green hydrogen industry. So all total, we have done around 30 programs, courses, which are micro credential and full courses for ranging from 360 hours to 600 hours. So these courses, 30 courses, mostly 17 by Hydrocarbon Sector Skill Council. These courses are available in our site. Then we have approved qualifications done by Sector Skill Council on green hydrogen, green job. Then we have in the value chain, we have logistics sector and power sector. They have also done around 4 courses. So these courses have been approved. I think these courses will help us. Thank you very much. We will further discuss. Thank you.
Thank you. So while Mr. Biswajit showed you the kind of gap, which we have, he has also shown you, Mr. Bose showed you the kind of training programs which the Hydrocarbon Sector Skill Council has been organizing. Now, Mr. Relan, I believe he will show us what's the industry requirement or something like that, because he's working in the
we are bearing this brunt. That's how they called us, I believe. So I'll try to do justice to sort of being there on this place where they're all experienced people and I'm the youngest one. So I know you just came from lunch and feeling sleep in presentation is not a good part, but okay, something a little about Technip. We are a technology company with an engineering background, and we execute projects across the globe. One company which understands, okay, it's a humble statement, but with a sense of pride. 1/3 of the world's hydrogen capacity is by Technip. So when I stand here, I come with that pride that we have over 275 plus hydrogen references. We know this molecule as a colorless molecule. Till today, we are an old school thought. We still believe it's a colorless molecule, but then this molecule can help green the earth. So when it comes to blue, yes, we have 50 plus executed references. When it comes to green hydrogen, we have 40 plus green hydrogen references. So that's a brief about Technip per se. That's how we know what this molecule is, and that's how we can talk whether there is a gap of skill, whether there is a manpower requirement or not. That's not just about the globe, that's about India. That's our imprint or footprint. Across India, there is Technip. You name a refinery and we were there for the hydrogen. again, sharing with some numbers, the current, say, capacity of hydrogen in the world is basically 95 mmtpa. And what we require actually is 150. That's globally. Now, this includes basically the main consumers, which is fertilizers, refinery. And what we are talking today is a very small portion, like e-fuels, transportation, power, and all those things. Today, the actual capacity of running plants is 1.1 gigawatts. Okay, that's huge. Mind it, what India has assured is 35 gigawatts. So let the numbers do the talking. The total renewable energy requirement produced today is 200 gigawatts approximately in India. If we go by the 35 gigawatt story of, say, the green hydrogen, 125 gigawatt of this would be required for it. So there is a enormous, a humongous gap between where we are today and what we have assured to the world. It's upon our shoulders to prove what our, say, the ministers, or say we as India has stated to the world. And with this responsibility comes a need of a manpower, though it has been there in all the sessions, but I'll try to answer your questions about different types of other manpowers as well. Again, today we are talking of 1 megawatt, 2 megawatts. When we say, okay, what has Technip done? Technip commissioned the largest hydrogen in Asia, that is a gray hydrogen, this year. At the same time, Technip also commissioned the green hydrogen as EPC or LEPC. Okay, but these are like 1 megawatts, 2 megawatts, 5 megawatts, 10 megawatts. When we are to reach those gigawatts capacity, okay, the answer is 100 megawatt plus. It's not about say 1, 2, 5, 10. Again, it's exponential increase. Today we are talking it as a electrolyzer, as a product. Okay, what we want tomorrow is a plant. Those are the capacities that would make up all these 35 gigawatts. To address this, again, to bridge a gap, this is what we did. We joined hands with John Cochrane. The only good thing is that this is company is called Rely. It is not an electrolyzer manufacturer. Yes, John Cochrane is, but not as Rely. So as Rely, it can use any electrolyzer. So when I'm talking today to bridge the skill gap, the training is going on in GAIL right now by our people. And today we are signing a very big project of green hydrogen in India. So the news should be out by tomorrow. And what is this Rely? It's basically an asset life cycle offering from, say, the concept to the commissioning. We call it 100 plus because it is 100 megawatt.
An accelerated route to industrial scale and affordable green hydrogen production is here. Bridge the gap to a safe and reliable supply of green hydrogen. Reach your destination fast with Clear 100 Plus green hydrogen configurable productized plant by Rely. Clear 100 Plus provides compact footprint, accelerated lead time, and robust, reliable technology. Integrating John Cockerill's proven electrolyzer technology with Technip Energy's large-scale EPC expertise, Clear 100 Plus is a pre-engineered, de-risked, performance-guaranteed, and configurable product that seamlessly integrates into your operations and continuously evolves to drive down the levelized cost of hydrogen. Paving the way as we continue the journey together towards power-to-X solutions, such as green hydrogen to decarbonize hard-to-abate industries and transport. Clear 100 Plus green hydrogen configurable productized plant by Rely. Reach your destination.
Somebody showing the clock, so I'll just go back to my seat, and this we can discuss during our session.
If you have any specific issue on market workforce, you can just
Yeah,
through that.
you can write down because this is all about market force, which would be there in us the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Mr. Allen. Now in this panel, we have Mr. Chintan Tewari, who is, he was introduced as one of the oldest, manufacturer of electrolyzers in India, Eastern Electrolyzers. So, Mr. Chintan Tewari, let me first ask you that you have been in long term, say about 30 years, if I remember correctly, in this business. 40, okay, I'm sorry. So 40 years you have been in this business. So what kind of, in this, now, during last 40 years, there was not much of, demand of electrolyzers. They were going to some industries, I know, but the kind of requirements which are picking up, what kind of challenges you see in terms of getting manpower for enhancing your capacity, setting up new manufacturing units for electrolyzers? What are the issues and challenges which you are facing as a company?
Good afternoon. Look, I can only speak from the perspective of a small manufacturer. Okay, I can't roll out statistics and stuff like that. It's my business is different. It's small. I've been in this business for 40 years, and when the green hydrogen sort of thing came up in 2021, nobody knew really about water electrolysis, but I had a few ideas because I'd been virtually doing nothing in this industry. I mean, it was a nothing industry, and I was just going around this for 40 years. So as soon as that green hydrogen thing actually came up, maybe we had a bit of a first mover advantage. But coming to the skills, in a small company, in a small setup like this, the way we do it then and even now is take our own, we have to develop our skills ourselves. There was nobody else who was going to tell us. So we took we had 2 welders, say, for example. So we get 2 more helpers and say, look, okay, you just do the tagging right now, okay? And over a period of time, we kind of develop those skills. Unfortunately, in India, whether it comes to just basic, the labor that you would say, whether it comes to skilled workers or whether it comes to your most skilled engineers, because we were doing it and we had these people, a lot of the other larger companies, they had no compunctions stealing our workforce. So we had to continually keep skilling people, and we're doing it till to this day because there's nobody else who's been doing it. So that's my answer to your question.
Thank you, Chintanji. Now I move to Dr. Subham Paul. Dr. Paul, you are associated with an institute where, do you think that, Mr. Tewari says that he is training people, getting people training himself, and Hydrocarbon Sectoral Skill Council, we heard Mr. Bose saying that they have rolled out several training programs. Do you think that engineers level also, because this will be some kind of new technologies which will be coming in, new innovations happening. So do you think that this type of courses at BTech level, or what kind of courses should be added in curriculum of engineering colleges? Do you think there is a need for specific hydrogen skill courses which will make engineers ready to join the and meet the demand of hydrogen economy?
Yes, of course, but let me mention something before just exactly commenting on this. That Government of India has definite targets year-wise, and maybe I should say it's an ambitious target also. But India has the capability to take this challenge. Year-wise, we have certain requirement by 2030, maybe some internal targets on 2035 or 40. 2047, we want to be an energy independent country, and also net zero by 2070. So as Dr. Roy was mentioning, that need some manpower for at now, means immediately we need some skilled manpower, because there are a lot of projects are going on for oriented to electrolyzers and all. But considering the target what we have in long-term basis, maybe like 2035, 40 or 47 or 2070, we need skilled manpower, not only about that operator level, we also need a manpower, because I'm coming from an R&D institute, and also my background is engineering. So rather it's a chemical engineering. So in both respect, I can say is, of course, hydrogen is a big word, because hydrogen is not only about a particular field of engineering, it's related to many other things. It's basically interdisciplinary subjects. So of course, at BTech level, or say maybe at diploma level, or maybe ITI level, there something required, because hydrogen economy is a word that's because basically it's a completely different phenomena, it's a different field. So there should be some courses designed in terms of hydrogen economy. Maybe it's definitely today it's not exactly possible to completely design a course on hydrogen economy, but maybe some kind of elective courses should be there at BTech level. Because for example, we have our elective course on petroleum refining engineering in BTech course. But so, and these courses should not be limited to just like a chemical engineer. So because many mechanical engineers are involved, electrical engineers are involved when it is coming about the green hydrogen or so. And apart from that, if we come to some advanced level, because not every BTech or MTech students will come to research field, but whoever is coming in the research area, because there are many things involved. It's with hydrogen, CO2 is also involved. CO2, because we're talking about hydrogen, green hydrogen, because whatever our target is, we cannot meet only using a green hydrogen, but CO2 utilization also will take a big role. So whenever we talk about CO2 utilization, we need hydrogen for that, many of cases. So I was talking with Ms. Tewari that whether we need some kind of like a small electrolyzer in laboratory scale, or in so that our researcher can get a training of handling it and using it with the associated technologies. So I think those kind of approaches we should have, so that people can be trained in different stages of their study, which can help immediately in this green hydrogen industry immediately, and also in the long-term basis.
I think being a researcher, you have been talking about making some prototypes of electrolyzers suitable for laboratories, which will provide. But you know, many of the engineering colleges, students passing out even from IITs and many of the engineering colleges, industry says that they are not, you know, ready to work on the project straight away. So I'll go to Mr. Chakravarty. Mr. Chakravarty, Mr. Bose talked about skill development at technician level programs, etc. And he just now talked about some of the engineering degree courses where some courses should be imparted.
Sure.
How do we think that we can provide the training while the people will go undergo the hydrocarbon, technician level will go through the HSSC courses, engineers will have some courses at BTech or MTech level, you know, and in academia.
Sure.
But how to make them ready to take up the jobs, you know, and impart practical training so that, you know, they should be ready to take up the jobs.
Sure. So, sir, thank you for giving me a chance to speak on this. And I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that, you know, I have already trained people in the industry in the year 2017-18. Well, as pointed out by our host, Sirin Sarkar, I started my journey way back. Sorry, sir, I'm just digressing a bit for the sake of the audience. But I started my journey.
We have limited time.
Yeah, just give me one.
I was also told by her that we have to close the session at 3.
Okay.
So be brief.
Sure, sure. I am being brief. I'll be as quick as possible. Yeah. So the training part that I already imparted was when I was at the National Chemical Laboratory, and there were 2 companies working in collaboration with NCL those days. You know, between 2016 to 18, and one of them was Thermax, and the other was KPIT. And I trained personnel from both these companies on a particular subject, which is known as electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, which is used for diagnosis of fuel cells and also to measure performance and troubleshooting. Coming to your question, which you asked, how are we going to, provide, or how the jobs, etc., the practical side of skill development. And there, I think we need to follow some kind of a demand supply, I mean, not from the job market perspective, but more from building the electrolyzers, which I call supply, because the hydrogen supply and the hydrogen demand. So one of the major discussions in many forums has been that there has been nobody is taking the hydrogen. So, the supply also is kind of not taking off the way it should be. So what I believe is the chronology of skill development. Please try to understand that first we should increase on the supply. That means we produce more and more hydrogen. That will lead to a fall in price, which will in turn lead to an increased demand, because people are not taking hydrogen because it's costly compared to the gray hydrogen.
You're talking about production, utilization.
Yeah.
Let us stick to skill development and skill force.
Right. So that is the reason I'm saying, sir, that first we should train people in making electrolyzers. First, make the electrolyzers. Don't go for making fuel cells or IC engines, because that is the first need of the hour. I mean, the entire thing, at the global scale, we are talking about hydrogen and, megawatts and so on and so forth. So I think first we should raise our skill development in terms of building electrolyzers, maintaining electrolyzers, build, operate, that kind of a model. So the primary intent should be to kind of on the electrolyzer front right now. And then we should come to IC engines, etc.
Sorry to, you also said that we need to create demand. Now electrolyzers will come, the hydrogen will start coming. There has to be somebody to take that also.
Absolutely.
So I think that it has to be simultaneously, skilling the workforce.
I will tell you, sir.
Sectors of production, storage.
I will tell you one thing. In as late as 2019, in the primary, I mean, even if you see, I don't know if there are people from DST or MNRE. If you look at the projects, you will find hardly any projects in India happening on electrolyzers. People were working on fuel cells. People were working on biohydrogen. People were working on biomass, but nobody was working on electrolyzers. So when electrolyzers, the talk of electrolyzers came, we didn't know what to do. I read some of the newspapers and online things that UK is going to train us to make electrolyzers. So, to split water, basically.
Tewari is making it for 40 years.
That's true, but he is just, very rare species, I should say.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. We have very limited time, and I think all the panelists have said something, or I'll just ask at the end, your final point.
Sure.
Meanwhile, let us take a few questions from the audience who may, and please raise your hand and be specific and be short, be brief, and pointed question to the speaker. It should be a pointed question. Let me request you, no general comments, because we have restricted time.
Hello. So I'm Rajesh Malhotra here from Oman into the renewable energy line. My question is Mr. S.K. Bose. So we are talking of developing the skill set at the end use level or at the production level, but how about the ancillary part of it? There are many suppliers, sub-suppliers will be there. So what are the programs we are talking about for developing the skill sets there? Thank you.
Let me frankly tell you, regarding ancillary parts, we have not developed any courses. We are in the process of developing. All of from the right and left, you are seeing we have the MOU we signed with them. We are learning from them. Or the courses which are developing, Dr. Kapoor is also helping us. And a lot of industry experts, you can see that 7 Marathe companies are there, 6. They are helping us in developing the courses. Because those who are practitioners, they are the subject matter experts. They develop the questions, the course content, and we get it validated and to get it approved from NCVT. Then we run our courses. As the industry is developing, like Dr. Chintan Tewari, I have seen his plants. I've seen at least 6-7 plants in India. So these are pilot plants where wherever we are giving training, we take them to the pilot plant, have an experience to them how the hydrogen plant is running. So ancillary parts, as the electrolyzer and other parts are being developed, we are developing the courses with all the 4 sectors. And once we develop, and we'll try to develop the training scheme for them. Because right now, if you develop or skill them, actually there is no job immediately. So we are also watching how industry is growing. Then once it is growing, we'll be ready with that. But before the industry starts, we'll run the course in the micro credential in 32 hours course, not a bigger course. We'll run the bigger course once the industry is ready, so that people are skilled and take the job directly.
I think that's another challenge which you rightly pointed out, that you train people and if they don't find jobs, that is another problem which we face. As another question, madam.
So thank you so much for this wonderful panel and the discussions that have been happening since yesterday. We're talking about developing an ecosystem here. Now, when we look at skill development, by the way, my name is Aarti Aluwali. I'm from Demex Clean Energy and the United Nations. When we look at the entire skill development landscape, are we clearly looking at only technology-based or also the service architecture that comes along with it? I think that is a much bigger deal than the actual energy transition. Energy transition might stay at the center, but everything else is still, I would say, half-baked or unbaked. And that's where I think our core work lies.
Thank you. There's more of an observation, I believe.
It is, but I'd like to understand if that is also part of the purview.
Anyone, Mr. Biswajit, or?
I would completely agree with you. The technology part is the easiest thing to do, and that is what we have started with. The other aspects are more challenging, difficult, and the entire ecosystem is not complete till such time we have not covered them. But we have just about started. These are baby steps that we are taking. I'm sure, like in every other skill sector, we have a complete range of programs. Here also, we will have those complete range of programs. And some of the programs, for example, to answer to the previous question, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. For example, if we are wanting to use a compressor, the compressor related programs are already available in some other skill councils. So we don't actually have to do it again. We can just borrow that qualification pack from the other skill council and we can run the program here. So some of the ancillary related programs are already available across various skill councils. We don't have to redo them all over again. But to answer your question, whether we will have them or not, the answer is a big yes, we will have them.
I think only thing is that some specifics related to hydrogen. So say if you talk of compressors, the air compressor and hydrogen, some safety and some material issues may be there. Okay, so you want to add something?
Quickly, very quickly. Yes, so this is for all of you. I was just speaking with Dr. Sunita Satyapal and Dr. Patrick Hartley, and there is something called IPHE, which stands for International Partnership on Hydrogen and Fuel Cells in Economics. So please go to, I mean, those of you who are interested for, going abroad and doing some internship and developing skill, IPHE.net. And it's a consortium of 25 countries. And Dr. Satyapal actually heads it.
Yes. Thank you very much for giving that IPHE.net. So people can go through any one or two more questions.
One question from my side. Hello all. My name is Rohish Kalvit, working as Vice President with H2E Power Solutions. So I've been knowing a couple of people here. I would like to make a point to Dr. Paul, what you have mentioned. We have installed the microgrids at GERMI, at IIT Madras, and also in Vasantdada Sugar Institute in Pune. The whole idea is to have the microgrids training for small electrolyzers and fuel cells for the engineers and the technicians who are working there. Now the point or the question to all of you is, we are talking about skilling of people here in India. My question is that what can be done as a jury panel, or what can be given to the government of India, so that the skilled labor, not just in India, but can be transported across the world and make India as the skill hub or the skill transport or business sector into it. So if that is something we would like to touch upon, that is
I think that's a good suggestion, that MNRE is constituting different kind of skill programs. I think there's time is not there to elaborate everything, but your point is correct, that once we have designed our programs, they should be skilling our people. India is trying to become a global hub for export of green hydrogen, green ammonia. So why not even we should be able to provide the manpower globally. I think we have the largest manpower, talented people in India. So your observation is correct. I think, madam, you have noted that point, that maybe we'll try to incorporate. Last question from that.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, I'm Rajesh Wadhwa. I'm an investor and also an entrepreneur. Sir, my question is to Technip Energies, Mr. Alan. In the first slide, I saw you are listed only in Paris Exchange.
Because the company is listed in Paris Exchange, we are not listed anywhere.
Any chance of your being listed here? The reason many of us could invest in this company.
So nice of you, sir.
I think this question is not related to workforce. I'm sorry, please.
Right,
You can
so-
discuss with him separately.
Can we take another last question?
Yeah,
sir?
another last question.
Yes, sir, please.
Which is relevant.
I have only one question, sir. How the IT industry has developed. We need to have medium scale, pilot scale electrolyzer set up in every state, where so that all the universities can come and train for 2-3 months, not required to be entire course for 2 years, like 2-3 months. Because what we do in the university, it's all very small scale. Once we come to the industry, it's all huge scale, pilot scale, or the industrial scale, and it becomes very difficult.
Good session. Let me just inform you that MNRE is calling a Chief Secretary's conference on skill development, and in next couple of months they will be talking to all the chief secretaries of different states who maybe, and some of the skilling centers will come up, which I think will answer your question and provide training to the people all over the states in India. Am I correct, madam? Okay.
Just to add,
last point you want to add? Okay. Yeah.
In response to your query about a small electrolyzer and a plant or something which at different places are different. I have my friends from CECRI Karaikudi right here, and we've done exactly the same thing, that we developed a really small electrolyzer for them, which they're not only using in training, but they're using in their research. By putting in different kind of electrolyzers in it and so on and so forth. So yes, it can be done. I think it's very easy to do it and roll it out. The main thing that the only thing that I'm just trying to say is you actually need hands-on experience. You can keep talking till the cows come home, but unless you have the hands-on experience, it's not going to be as effective.
Wants to add?
Just to complement, we are talking of electrolyzers. Electrolyzers were there in India since most of us are not born. The membrane was there since 1986. So when we are talking of hydrogen ecosystem, hydrogen economy is much more than broader than this electrolyzer. So let's think abroad. There would be many things. Say, for example, climate engineering. Okay, you would need to study, the renewable. Where is the satellite images? You need policy, you need frameworks, you need say material scientists, because the hydrogen would be there flowing somewhere. You need to study and build data scientists. So there are lot many things which need to be added as that skill gap.
Just one small point. One small point. Just a tiny little point, which is, even when it comes to the electrolyzer, you have so many components. I mean, when you talk about PEM electrolyzers, there are bipolar plates, there's a catalyst layer, there's the membrane. So each of this needs skill development.
Point is well taken. Yes. I think I've been getting signals that I must close this session. So thank you very much, all my colleagues. I think we have talked about it. Mr. Biswajit Roy has been part of the Skill Council earlier. Now Mr. Bose is there, and some of the experienced people from the industry side have also. So I think any further discussions you want to have, you can have specifically with any of the panelists. They would be available after this session. But we have to close this session because next session has to start. So
right. Thank you so much, Dr. R.K. Malhotra, the President, Hydrogen Association of India. And of course, we would like to acknowledge our sincere thanks to all our panelists for their, presentation as well as amazing, insightful information. And now we would like to honor our panelists with the mementos. And I would request Dr. R.K. Malhotra, of course, the respected moderator, to do the honor. We have along with us Dr. Subham Paul, IIP Dehradun, Dr. Biswajit Roy, Director General, Gujarat Energy Research and Management Institute, Mr. Chintan Tewari, Managing Director, Eastern Electrolyser Limited, Mr. S.K. Bose, Chief Executive Officer, Hydrocarbon Sector Skill Council. Mr. Tarun Relhan, Business Director, TNX. Mr. Sajal Chakravarty, Director, 1H1 Labs Private Limited. And now I would like to invite on stage Dr. Vasanta Thakur, MNRE. She is the senior scientist, E. I would request her to honor our respected moderator, Dr. R.K. Malhotra, with the memento. Also would request all the panelists to please come forward for a photo opportunity.